Today's episode is about doughnuts. I foresee some struggles in my future.
Oh my God, I need an adult. Where'd the hole go? Ah! This was made wrong. I have to try again. I have to throw out this dough. Got a big hole. It looks like a snail coming out of its shell. I feel like this is the olden days way. Couldn't we have used a hand mixer?
But I'm also hoping for a couple of successes. Yes, 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 yes.
Something positive, something positive. That one looks perfect.
They're so fluffy. That tastes like a good donut.
That was stressful, but we did it.
Today, we're gonna look at 5 donut iterations from 5 different countries, so let's get going.
Hi everyone, my name is Alexandra. I live in the Netherlands, but I'm originally from Vienna in Austria. The dish I would like to talk about are Tiroler Kiachl. In English, I would translate them to Tyrolean fried pastries. Tiroler Kiachl are round pastries that are made from fried yeast dough. And for the dough you need very basic ingredients. You need flour, milk, eggs, butter, yeast, a pinch of salt and sugar. They look similar to a donut. They're like round like a donut, but instead of a hole they have a dent in the middle so that you can add a filling to it.
I actually need an even bigger bowl because Leia and I are about to whip this dough.
It's usually filled with sauerkraut or lingonberry jam and powdered sugar if you want to have it sweet. The dish reminds me of going skiing and on hiking holidays with my family and friends. The reason why I like this dish is because of its combination of the crispy, soft fried dough with the sauerkraut on top of it.
That was a close call. The egg yolk was not meant to go in. Whew. Thanks, Leia, for the catch.
It's just so hearty and warm. Perfect for a cold winter day where you've been outside the whole day skiing.
I need to beat this vigorously for 10 minutes, and this is harder to do than you'd think because the dough, to come together, you really need to get at it. It's not coming together. This was made wrong. I have to try again. I have to throw out this dough. Take 2. Okay, so this is what we did differently this time. We did not half the recipe, so there's more of everything. We looked at other recipes online and kind of blended them all together so we have more milk and more butter, and we whisked the eggs before we're putting them in, and we're using a whole egg and an egg yolk instead of just 1 egg because that was something else that we found online. So hopefully this one works. My hand is tired. This dough is thick, but it seems better.
Most people think of donuts as something that needs to be sweet, but since the dough of Tiroler Kiachl are not sweetened, you can basically combine it very easily with sauerkraut or basically any savory thing that you like, but as traditionally it's eaten with sauerkraut. I think it goes very well together because the dough on its own doesn't have that much taste. There are no spices in there. Yeah, you should top it with sauerkraut to also try how does a savory donut taste like.
Oh my God! Yes!
Look at that little hole, perfect for my sauerkraut. Oh my God, I am so glad that worked. That was stressful, but we did it.
I like that you can also have it sweet, so you can basically have the option with the sauerkraut as main dish and then you can have a sweet option as dessert. So I think that's awesome because you can eat it twice. I think that also makes it quite versatile, that most people would like it. I think it's amazing. It's just so hearty and it's a great meal for a cold day, I would say. If you don't like sauerkraut, you can still give it a try because you can also add powdered sugar if you also don't like jam. Even for picky eaters, you can try it. Bye!
It wouldn't be a donut episode, honestly, if I didn't have a couple of fails. So, starting off weak, but finishing strong. These look amazing. I love sauerkraut, and this is such a great combination of the fried dough and the vinegary sauerkraut. I could see how this would be really good with jam as well, but I love the idea of a savory donut, something definitely more unexpected in my opinion. Making the dough was definitely difficult to the point that we had to start over completely from scratch and kind of MacGyver this recipe from a bunch of different people, but I do think ultimately we got there. The key to making these as well, to get the little divot pocket, is you really have to spread the middle thin. The first one I did was like not that great, but then I understood what to do. I love the sauerkraut. Different vessels for sauerkraut are just things I love. Hot dogs, perfect vessel for sauerkraut. Who knew? But donut, perfect vessel for sauerkraut. Beating the dough was quite difficult, quite exhausting. Okay, this is a hair up job. We got our sleeves rolled. I feel like this is the olden days way. Couldn't we have used a hand mixer? Luckily, I had Leia to step in and help. A lot of the steps in this were just difficult and I was stressed. But the fact that it worked in the end, I don't know, it makes me feel really good about myself. Yes, 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 yes.
Oh my God, thank God.
We got the divot.
Oh my God, it worked.
And I hope that you guys appreciate that I put the fails in, because I am not a chef and I'm doing all this for my first time. And so like sometimes if I make a mistake, I don't know, I make a mistake and I want to make sure you guys can see that I'm not perfect, even though YouTube can make it seem like everybody's perfect. Long story short, I love sauerkraut. There are a lot of things in this world that we have in common and a lot of things that do make us different. For me, food is a way to bridge those divides, but so is language. Learning another language can open up a world of possibilities. Rosetta Stone is my favorite language learning app to help me get there. Rosetta Stone is a language learning app that doesn't rely on direct translations for you to learn a language, but instead creates an immersive environment that teaches you to learn a language in a different way. You'll learn whatever language you choose naturally through native speakers, audio, and images. They have pronunciation lessons that help you learn how to accurately say a word.
Un uomo.
Un uomo. And the app fits any schedule. Many of the lessons are 10 minutes or less. You can download Rosetta Stone's lessons and practice offline. There are tons of languages to choose from, so whatever you're looking to study, I'm sure you could find it on Rosetta Stone. Now that it's the new year, you might want to consider giving the gift of language. Right now, you can get 60% off their lifetime subscription, which gives you access to all of their languages to learn for life. The link is in my description.
Hi, my name is Sara. I currently live in Budapest, Hungary, but I grew up in Romania as part of the Hungarian minority that lives in Transylvania. The donut I want to talk to you about today is called Csörögefánk in Hungarian, minciunele in Romanian, and angel wings in English.
Whoa, that was like a perfect crack. Like that egg is, do you see this? That egg is perfectly in half. It's cool.
Csörögefánk is made of a soft yeast dough that is rolled out and cut into rectangles or diamond shapes.
Okay, the ultimate egg white test. I thought it was gonna fall.
You then cut a hole in the middle of each shape, take one end and tuck it through that hole to form a nice ribbon or knot.
Whee!
The csöröge is then deep fried and rolled in powdered sugar. Like a lot of dishes in this part of the world, a lot of countries around Central and Eastern Europe have some version of this dish. Some are thin and crispy, others are soft and fluffy.
I have struggled kneading dough many a time because I don't have a stand mixer, so I'm curious, those of you who have one, should I invest in a stand mixer for the show? Because I don't really bake the things I don't really bake when it's not on the show. I'm out of breath from kneading this. But yeah, let me know, stand mixer or no stand mixer? I'm open. And now Leia's kneading.
They are usually eaten as a dessert in the carnival season around February. I personally have a lot of lovely memories of my great-grandmother, Dedi, who used to make huge batches of this dish whenever she was expecting a visit from her many grandchildren and great-grandchildren. It was always a special treat to look forward to, as they were made with so much love.
Making these is actually pretty simple, just folding them on the inside And then you've got this pretty little shape. This donut I thought was gonna be really difficult to make, but actually it's been pretty easy so far, so phew.
I recommend that you try Csörögefánk even if you don't have much of a sweet tooth.
I think this turned out pretty much like the photo. Some of them are diamond shaped, but we went with rectangle. They look like pastas.
They do look like pasta.
Tastes like fried dough. As far as the donut batter went, there was only 1 teaspoon of sugar in it, so there's not much sweetness, but the powdered sugar on top is very sweet and nice, but there's a good balance there. The outside is crunchy, the middle is soft and doughy. I wonder if that's from the egg whites. I never thought about putting egg whites into a donut before, especially because we kneaded the heck out of them. I always think with egg whites, you need to be so gentle with them. Treat them with, like silk gloves, but kneading them. I also did ask a question about if I need a stand mixer. I'm still thinking about it. They're expensive, but I invested in a deep fryer on this channel and we all know how much I use that. I don't really have space for a stand mixer, but I could put it in a closet. I could put it in a closet. There's room in a closet. This reminds me of fried dough that you would get at a county fair, where they'd sprinkle the top of it with tons of powdered sugar. It was like a big circle. They just kind of dropped all that dough in the fryer. That's what it tastes like, and it's delicious. And it does make me want a cup of coffee. When I stuck these into the deep oil, I wanted to make sure that these holes kind of remained, so I used a chopstick to just spread them a little bit. I did that trick when I made picarones from my, what episode was that? Fried food episode, yeah. We have a new artist today. Her name is Kesley. I'm leaving all of her information in the description, and you can check out her bio on my artist page.
Hi, I'm Bomi. I was born and raised in South Korea, and now I'm living in London. Today I'd like to introduce you to our Chapssal donuts, which is also called Chapssal donuts in our southeastern dialect. Chapssal translates to glutinous rice, so they are essentially donuts made of glutinous rice flour.
From the dumpling episode, when I worked with glutinous rice flour, I learned that you have to add boiling water to it. Not just hot and boiled and then you're gonna pour it in from your kettle. It has to be direct from the pot boiling. Now you know.
It often comes in a ball shape with sweet red bean paste inside and has that typical crispy on the outside and chewy on the inside texture. Once you bite into the fresh donuts from the fryer, the donut will stick to your teeth while the red bean paste melts in your mouth. And it always gives me reminiscence of my childhood days. While we don't associate donuts with meals usually, I guess almost every traditional market in Korea would have this donut shop in one corner for quick snacking. Growing up in a small coastal city, I didn't have many choices for dessert as a kid, but didn't have those fancy bakeries or trending dessert shops back then.
Oh God, this is hard. Okay, this did not work. So I took the red bean paste and I rolled it into a little ball. So I'm hoping now that I can bring the dough around it easier so that it's not just loosey-goosey in the dough. Looking at this one makes me so depressed. Should I just throw this out or leave it there as a reminder that I have to do better? I'm leaving it.
I used to live with my grandparents while my parents were working hard to sustain our living. I used to follow my grandma to a nearby market that opens in every 5 days for groceries and just stare at the donut stall showcase. And then she would get me a bag of fresh donuts. That was one of the only legitimate dessert options that I had as a kid.
I'm just watching these like a mother hen with her little eggs. I'm supposed to keep stirring them, otherwise the dough will stick together. But I think they're starting to get a nice crust so they won't stick together. My little donuts. We got a big hole. It looks like a snail coming out of its shell. I'm taking this one out. 5 out of 7 ain't so bad.
20 years later, these are still the first thing that my grandparents would buy me whenever I visit them in Korea. as Chapssal donuts remind all of us the good old days that we spent together. Enjoy!
These gave me only a little bit of drama, and that was about stuffing them. Ultimately, they worked. I only had one that truly exploded, and then we had my failed attempt at making one. Whoa. It's mochi inside. The red bean paste is really good. Coating them in sugar gives them some sweetness because red bean paste is not very sweet. The texture of this is crunchy on the outside and chewy on the inside, and then you have that smooth red bean paste. It's a delicious bite. Wow. That's fab. This is totally fabulous. I could eat 14 of these. I think the hardest part of this recipe was getting the red bean paste into the dough. I'm really stressed out. I'm really stressed. It doesn't look like in the videos. In the videos, they were perfect, so perfect. Mine looks wonky. I originally started by just slapping it in, but then when I thought about making a circle out of it, it was easier to fold in, but still, things didn't look as smooth as they did when the professionals made them. Big surprise. But when they fried up, you can't really tell the imperfections. These look pretty perfect to me. They look like a perfect circle. One of my favorite bands from college. If you know, you know. The flavor of red bean paste is a very kind of sweet, savory flavor. Not too sweet, but has that hint of sweetness in it. The red beans don't taste like a typical bean dish if you don't know what they taste like. They taste more like something that's hard actually to describe because it's a sweet, savory flavor. That's what I'm gonna call it, a sweet, savory flavor. The thing that might be difficult if you're curious about recreating this dish is finding the ingredients. I got mine at an Asian supermarket. Difficulty level wise, I think if you are good with dough, this might not be too difficult. My difficulty was just in sealing everything, but also, like I said, at the end of the day, it kind of all worked out. So I'm gonna grade this one medium.
Hi Beryl, my name is AJ. I live in London at the moment, but I was born and raised in Oman to Filipino and Egyptian parents. Today I want to talk about Loqma, a popular street food in Egypt that dates back to the 10th century. Admittedly, my family actually called it by its Greek name, which is a lot more popular, Loqmades. I'm not entirely sure why, however, I'm also not surprised as this dessert exists in many countries across the Levant, parts of Africa, in Asia, parts of Europe as well, and it's got different variations with many different names as well. I'm sure your viewers will find this recipe very familiar. Aside from being a popular street food, it's also common to cook this during special occasions or religious occasions. Loqma means morsel or bite in English, which gives us a clue as to what it looks like, donut holes. It's deep fried and usually soaked in a syrup or drizzled with honey. My family actually prefers to keep it very simple, so we only dust it with icing sugar on top.
First of all, do we like my braids? Tell me. Second of all, my batter just feels a little too liquidy, so I'm gonna add a little more flour, and I think that's okay to just add a little more flour if you need to. This is looking better. Yeah. This is what we're going for. Maybe I needed a little stretchier. To be honest, I'm not sure how much flour I added extra, but this is definitely what we're going for based on that video. It's got body to it. Lump. Since Egypt dough is resting for an hour, we're just gonna go ahead and start making India. Plus, I have my braids, so you guys get to see them for 2 ones. Drum roll, whoa. That is jiggly.
I really like this recipe because it's so simple and requires ingredients that most people likely already have in their pantry. Loqmades is what I would call a low-effort, high-reward recipe. It's easy to make, but incredibly Moorish.
Found this Ziploc bag in my freezer. It was holding green beans, so I'm gonna try to pipe these because the shapes are not shaping very well. Okay.
Okay, then just like cut there.
Okay. I've never piped before.
Compared to a traditional Western donut, it's got more of a chew and isn't as bready. So my mom, the Filipina, actually learned how to cook all sorts of Egyptian classics when she first married my dad. And this is one of the dishes that she would bring to potlucks regularly.
Well, a couple of these look like the right shapes. Not that one, but those look good. This is definitely better. It's like oozing out the top, but they look much better.
I remember sneaking into the kitchen to get a few morsels for myself, knowing that as soon as she put the platter down at a party or a potluck or picnic, everyone would come and devour the loqmadas as soon as she set it down.
This one looks like a fish, like Nemo. Me, 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 me. This one looks like a balloon.
To be honest, it's my last resort dish to bring at a potluck if I'm running out of time or I don't have enough ingredients at home to make something else. I also find that people always seem very impressed when I say I made donuts. It seems to be a massive crowd pleaser. It's so simple, so satisfying. I hope you all give it a go and enjoy.
These gave me a little bit of trouble, but at the end of the day, I think that they turned out really good. They're so fluffy. Wow. Those are airy and light. That tastes like a good donut. The powdered sugar is a nice little extra sweetness on top. The dough rose so much when we let it proof for an hour, so when I opened it, it was like super jiggly, and I was worried about how I was gonna get it into the oil. That is jiggly. Is that too jiggly? Obviously using the spoon didn't work, so I'm glad that we went with the Ziploc bag method. If you're gonna try these, Ziploc bag, that is definitely the way to go. I think in general, a donut like this is common around the world, and I'd be curious what you call this in your country, just because there's nothing necessarily that special about what we did, but I do think that it's really different from the other donuts that we've made so far in the episode, so I'm glad that I was able to include it. I think my biggest takeaway from this was piping. I have never really piped anything before, and so also that my Ziploc bag had a hole in it. There's a hole in the side of my bag. Oh God, everything's coming out. This is not a great moment. It got all over the side. Oh my God. Oh my God. I need an adult. But I got a lot of different shapes. They taste good though. They just look a little wonky. Overall, it's like a nice, fun, simple donut to make. A crowd pleaser, if you will.
Hello, my name is Mansi. I'm from India, Madhya Pradesh. So when I think about our Indian donut, the dish that comes up to my mind is Balushahi. So it's very similar to a donut in terms of its shape and the way it's made, but a difference lies in the texture. So for that, when you make a Balushahi, you make it with some fluffed up ghee, you add your flour to it and knead the dough in such a way that the dough is very soft but not very smooth. Kneading has to be done in such a way that the crumbly texture remains, so that when the donuts are fried, they hold their crumbliness. And then you make balls of the dough, make the shape of donut and then deep fry it. Side by side, you also prepare a sugar syrup with the consistency of one string.
I think that was like a half cup of water, and I just need a little bit more flour. Just a little.
Dip your donuts into that and then garnish it with some almond and pistachios. And here you go, you have made yourself perfect Balushahi. You will find Balushahi in all parts of India. In northern India it's called Balushahi, in southern India it's called Badshah. And in different parts of country, I think you will find some kind of variants, but the essence of Balushahi remains. Also during festivals, this dish makes its way because it's not that sweet like the gulab jamun or jalebi, and it has a very crumbly texture, so it's nice to eat. It's not that heavy on your palate. While I was growing up, I used to have this at my nanny's place. So there was a shop which used to make very good balushahis, and my uncle would always get balushahis from that place. Even now when I go to my nanny's place, my uncle would pack that for me. So it's a very special childhood memory to me. Even my mother used to make balushahis for me, and we would pack that in our train journeys. And yeah, it's very nostalgic for me.
Like, where'd the hole go? Okay, so my first batch, I made them way too big. There is no indent. I'm not really sure what I did wrong.
So I'm gonna try to make them smaller next time, this time. I'm gonna make them smaller. No hole. No hole at all. I'm still not getting the hole. Like, they look fine, but I'm not getting the hole. So I'm gonna turn down the heat and I'm gonna try to make them even smaller. Rolling them like this. And now I'm gonna really just stick my finger in that hole. There is a hole. That is like a 7-bite donut. Ah! This was what we were going for. I'm not getting that at all. So I'm gonna call this one probably like a bit of a fail visually, but you know, flavor-wise, I don't know yet. But visually, I didn't get it.
Also, the texture and the taste of Balushahi is very unique, and if you are a fan of donuts, I think you should also give it a try. You would like the taste profile is similar, so I think you would like it. So yeah, everybody should give it a shot. Thank you.
2 in one day was a bold choice, Beryl. A bold choice indeed. And ending with this one that has given me so much anxiety. I just hope that it tastes good. It's been sitting in this syrup for a little while, so it should be nice and flavorful because there was no sugar in the dough. All right. Wow, that tastes like an Indian sweet with the cardamom in there. It tastes really good. Honestly, like, it tastes good. However, I did not execute this properly and I have no idea what I did wrong. I tried tons of different things. I lowered the oil heat. I stuck my finger all the way through like a donut. I made them bigger. I made them smaller. Nothing worked. They all just kind of puffed up. It's like they're just rising too much. Look, it's already completely gone. I'm trying to look if there was a saving grace in here, one that was like a little close, but no. Nothing. I'm curious if any of you know what the trick was, because they just puffed up so much. And it said in the recipe that they were going to puff up, but I wasn't expecting this. I love the syrup though. It's not too sweet. In general, I think Indian sweets can be very sweet, but this one is a really nice balance. And like I said, I just love cardamom flavor. And so a cardamom simple syrup is definitely up my alley. I think a cardamom simple syrup would honestly also be good in a drink or in a cocktail. Just add like a really cool amount of flavor to something. The donut, because it's not yeasted, is not as fluffy as the Egyptian donut, but it's still soft on the inside. I shouldn't have taken a bite before I finished my sentence. Greedy. I think that these are still really good. I just still honestly feel stressed out from making them. The anxiety in me has not subsided. I don't like it when things don't work out for the first time that I'm trying them. I think a lot of you can probably empathize with that feeling. Everything is supposed to work out the very first time. You're supposed to be good at everything. But I had success with the others, so overall, the episode was a win. Don't forget that all the recipes, including this one, are going to be in the description. In the meantime, I'm leaving you with my fried foods episode and my baking episode, where I also had a mini fail meltdown, and I will see you all next week.